Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a brand new episode of Wrestling with the Business. We got a bunch of news to go through today. There were some major releases this week in WWE and AEW. We got some AEW news to talk about. We've got a new segment Dan's bringing us, What If? I don't think anybody's ever done that before.
Psychological and psychological.
And everybody's favorite segment this week in wrestling history, tonight on Wrestling with Business.
Get it!
All right, guys, we're back for a new episode of Wrestling with the Business. Before we get going, let's be sure everyone comment, like, share, subscribe, turn on that notification bell. Make sure you're getting notified on all the great content we're putting out. We're doing several videos a week now. Breaking news. We've never done that before. Pretty sure we broke the news about the releases that we're about to talk about before anybody else did.
That's the story I'm going with.
I'm just saying. Major releases happening this week. WWE dropped some names. AEW dropped some names, and some people are already showing up other places. So, what do you guys think? This is some of the names. I mean, I did a video on this earlier this week. Some of the names are pretty surprising. Others, not so much. But what do you think's going on with this?
Dead weight.
Yeah, it's the timing of the year. It's WrestleMania. Everyone has their outlook planned, and it's time to cut the dead weight. You know?
I looked through this list, and I was like, what are these people still doing here, honestly? And for some for good reasons and some for bad reasons. I mean, Gallows and Anderson, I think that they still got a lot of gas in the tank, but they should have been cut loose a long time
They
ago.
were.
Well,
they were cut loose, came back, cut loose. I mean, it's like...
hang on. They were part of the COVID release, right?
They were released in 2020, went away for a while, came back in 2022.
Triple H loved him so much, he brought him back.
But that was weird because Anderson's was out on injury. They don't generally release people on injury.
And maybe his injury is going to be permanent or something, and that changed the game
I think they were
for him a
saying
little bit?
6 to 8 months. It was torn labrum.
Look, they're stale. There's nothing they can do. I mean, it's one of those, these guys got to reinvent themselves, and they're just not. They're the same guy. They got to jump back down to, where were they, TNA for a while?
Yep.
You go back down to TNA and get some money
TNA,
there and then
Japan.
stay into,
Why is Kaiser getting TV time, but Vinci gets let go?
Yeah, we knew when he was let go
don't
from
understand.
Imperium. That was not
Well,
good
it could
for
be a
him.
lot of things we don't know. Backstage attitude, work ethic.
I mean, they
there's-
both outstanding wrestlers. They were a great tag team. The tag team division needs some help. I don't know.
I think
don't know why they did it that way.
reportedly he wasn't getting over with the crowd. That was the main reason.
He never was out there without Gunther or Kaiser with him.
that whole group is falling apart.
I listen. Kaiser's
Falling. It is apart.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's like it's that whole storyline, that whole group, everyone involved. You've already talked about this with Gunther and the title. It's become stale.
yeah. Well, and when he
very
won the
stale.
World Championship, they totally destroyed it. The factions are kind of not really becoming a thing anymore. We're
Not
sort of
in
moving,
WWE, no.
We're sort of moving away from the faction model.
AEW in Japan, they love the factions.
Well, we had a rush of it for about 2 years with WWE, 2-3 years.
Yeah,
Everyone
yeah.
was in a faction.
Yeah.
Now it's and I'm a believer in you need to have them. You do need to have one or two solid ones in your promotion, but like now we're kind of getting rid of them. So
Was it Isla or Isla Dawn?
Isla.
Isla Dawn.
you can get either one of them right.
Yeah, you never
how
have to
bad
say
it
that
is.
name ever again.
Hopefully she gets another name wherever she goes. But this is all dead weight. Like, I can't believe Cedric Alexander was even still there. If you wanted me to bet whether Cedric Alexander was still on contract or not, I'd have bet against it.
Everyone on this list, with the exception of Carl Anderson, all wrestled within the last month.
Yeah, Sonya Deville was at the
Rumble.
I'm like, what? You put someone at the Royal
If
Rumble?
I had
and
to
then-
guess, she has a pretty big contract or a good amount, probably higher than average. They didn't fire her; they're just not renewing
They
her
didn't renew her.
contract.
Yep.
She got over really well when she was with Chelsea Green, and then
When was she with
they
Chelsea
oh,
Green?
it was a while ago, and then that kind of went away, and Chelsea Green still gets over with the crowd, but she doesn't. I don't know.
You got to look at it this way: they're cutting out the dead weight, and it gives them, not that I think that they have money problems at all, but it's allowing them to clear out that money and put it towards people, superstars, talent that they feel that might have another chance. I mean, look, Cedric, he's been there for 9 years, 9 years. I mean, he's never been. He's not done.
He can go to TNA and light up.
Oh no, he's going to AEW. He's joining the Hurt Business. Getting
Oh,
back
right,
together with
that's
them.
true. I forgot. Yes, all the Hurt Business guys are over in
But
AEW.
I mentioned in my video too, his wife used to work at AEW, and she did not leave on good terms. So maybe that'll keep him from going.
Money talks.
Yeah, we'll
Louder
see.
than the AEW and in a
Yep,
different
the other
language.
names were Authors of Pain and Paul Ellering. They were just with Karrion Kross and their group there. Blair Davenport, one of my favorites. She didn't really do much. And Electric Lopez, who was just on SmackDown on Friday, walking out with Legado del Fantasma.
I mean, they do seem to be making way. We'll talk about this in the main event about up-and-coming talent, but they do seem to be opening up the doors to some new talent coming in and trying to develop their own talent with this new LFG product. So maybe this is just them cutting the dead weight, might be the rude way to say it, but the cards, like, you can't have a roster that's that big. You just don't have enough time to use everybody. So
No, clear it up, clean it
it
up.
is what it is. Now, that's
'em out.
not the case, I think, with AEW.
Yeah.
Very different story on the AEW side of the
They
fence.
definitely bigger names being released in AEW. Ricky Starks finally gotten out of his contract. Malachi Black, again, wanted out of his contract. And Miro, who hasn't been on TV in over a year.
Is it his gimmick? Why do I think Ricky Starks is a bitch to work with? Why do I feel like he's just difficult? Is it his gimmick?
I think that's his gimmick. Apparently, everybody really likes working with him.
So he asked, because Miro asked for his release.
All three of them did.
Yeah, and Ricky, I mean, Ricky got put over pretty hard. He was made the #1 heel on Collision. He got to work with MJF. He got to work with some of the biggest guys.
In the past, he worked with Cody.
He got a
and
huge
Punk.
push. Got to beat Punk, right? Didn't he beat Punk?
I'm pretty sure.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what more AEW could have done. More money? I don't know. What do you do?
Getting buried. You guys got to move around. They just have to. They have to move around. Change it up.
He had the tag team with Big Bill, and what they were pushing for the team, he wasn't really a fan of, reportedly. That's what they're saying in the dirt sheets, and that's what kind of started him down the road of wanting to leave. So more control over his character, more control over his storylines.
He's already appeared at NXT.
We already got some movement.
He got a little bit of a pop. He's gonna get buried.
That's what I was going to mention. AEW, none of them have a non-compete, so they can all show up anywhere, anytime.
I don't think he's gonna get buried.
He's gonna get buried, and I'm gonna say it. I'm calling it right now. Whatever it is, ring the bell or sound the alarm or whatever. And it's because he's not big enough. He's going to have the same problem Johnny Gargano had, the same problem Tommaso Ciampa has, the same problem. Anybody that isn't 6 feet tall and 220 pounds, anybody that doesn't meet that standard is not going to be considered good enough to hold the belt.
He'll
and
do well in NXT.
He'll
not
do
in the main
okay.
roster.
Yep, he'll do okay in NXT, which basically is the equivalent of AEW. Their viewership numbers are basically the same thing. The crowd sizes are basically the same thing. Yeah, okay, they get extra pushes now because they're putting more talent into them and they move to the CW or whatever. But I think it's pretty fair to call them comparable when you look at the quality of the wrestling that's going on and the fact that you have a lot of relatively unknown stars on both brands that are being developed right now. He's going to do okay in NXT. He might even win the belt. They're going to go in a year or two to bring him up to the main roster. He's going to get totally buried. They're going to stuff him into a tag team. It's not going to work. And then before you know it, we're reading his name on a February release schedule in 2027.
No, then you go to TNA.
The one other AEW release which broke while I was recording my last video over the weekend, completely understandable with this one, Bear Boulder was arrested last month for battery by strangulation, so he was let go from his AEW contract. His tag team partner didn't even know it happened until he read it on social media.
Oh my gosh.
So that's a big deal, and that one is definitely, if I guess we should say alleged. Should we say alleged? He
Yes,
was arrested.
We have to say alleged.
Okay,
He hasn't convicted.
alleged. If this is allegedly true, then yeah, good.
We'll have to do one of those disclaimers after, where
Yeah.
one of us just reads off the legal note.
Yeah. He truly is no gimmicks, Matt Lambert. This is all real life, not reality, actuality.
So we mentioned Cedric maybe going to AEW, Gallows and Anderson, maybe TNA, maybe Japan, maybe AEW. Where do you think some of these other people are going?
Is Malachi Black going to go back to WWE?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, and probably Miro too.
NXT though.
He will be an utter failure if he goes back.
He's
to
already a
WWE.
failure. That's why he left WB in the first place.
No, he went over. He went over well with the crowd. He's
going to be another Andrade.
He has
Yes,
painted.
they're like the same. They're like the same. If you ask me.
He has painted himself into a corner. WWE does not want guys that have tattoos on their faces, that are tattooed all the way up their sleeves, that have this dark, gothic look to them. They want clay that you can mold into something else. We want to be able to try 10 different things with you. If you look at the guys that get over, they try 10 different things, and it's number 10 that actually works. It's Formula 409, and that's the one that they end up running with. But you have to have somebody where you can go, let's put you in the Shield. Let's put you in a Bloodline. Let's put you all on your own. Let's put you with Paul Heyman. You can do anything you want with guys like that until you find something. Malachi Black, you can't do that with
Everything
a guy like
you
that.
just described was Roman Reigns.
But what I'm okay, then let's look at John Cena. How many different gimmicks did we try with John Cena before the hustle, loyalty, and respect finally got over with the crowd? 3. At least 3 different runs. Remember, he was the robot? Not the robot, I'm sorry. He was the prototype. Thank you. He did a whole prototype thing where I'm the perfect human. You have to be able to try several different gimmicks with these people. And Malachi Black is a song with one note. And sometimes that note sounds really good, and sometimes it doesn't. But when you've already got a Karrion Kross, when you've already got a Wyatt Six, okay, you hire him back just to test him out, but he's not going to get over. The WWE fans already have their gothic. If you want it, you've already got it in WWE. You don't need a guy like Malachi Black there. I don't know. Do you disagree?
No, it's I mean, I think the work he was doing with House of Black and AEW was about as far as you can take that gimmick, yeah.
It's time to change the gimmick.
Yeah, there's no room there at WWE. Your Wyatt Six is about as extreme as you're ever going to get on the WWE
and
program.
They're not even on TV.
They barely get any TV time, and they're not nearly as dark as House of Black is.
He's got to now. Okay, he's had 2 stints that are somewhat the same at WWE and AEW, same type of gimmick. It's time to switch it up. He needs to come back to WWE with a heel gimmick that's just, I don't know. I come up with something different. It's got to be something different.
He's Pac with more tattoos. That's what he is. He's aggressive. He's
got to attack someone
mean.
big.
So he's got to be like some country club yuppie now or something.
I don't know, but I don't think you should go That's what I'm saying. You can't do that, though. He's got fucking face tattoos. Like, you can't do that with a guy like that. So he's painted himself into a corner. Unlike Miro. He's a guy that you can slap several different
As soon as he shows up,
on.
everyone's going to be cheering Rusev Day.
Yep.
Rusev Day is coming back.
And I don't think he would hate that, although I'd love to hear him work on the accent again.
He was getting over with that Rusev Day thing, and Vince would not push it at all.
Yeah, I think he could get over.
Stale. He's another guy, just stale. You got to change it up. It's all stale. It's just stale.
I think they should let him cut promos. They didn't let him talk an awful lot before. He was this sort of Belarusian machine that was supposed to be like an Umaga type situation. They should let him cut promos and tell a story and let him get involved in it. But yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think we are going to see all of the AEW releases go somewhere else, for better or for worse. And I think a lot of the WWE ones, we're just going to see them walk off into the sunset, maybe to the Indies or overseas or something, and we might never see them again.
Okay, guys, new segment on the show called What If? We're going to take some current news items and turn it into a what if it happens in the future.
Getting philosophical with us here.
And see what happens. I think not to be confused with the Marvel what if, but it is somewhat similar, I guess. First question, what if, with the Elimination Chamber coming up, obviously the news going around that John Cena is going to be facing Cody Rhodes for the title, and he's already automatically put into the Elimination Chamber. What if John Cena doesn't win the Elimination Chamber? What happens?
Then he should go bury himself in the sand.
Yeah, if John Cena doesn't win the Elimination Chamber, then his what are we calling this year? Yeah, this whole retirement tour that he's doing across the United States is going to end about 6 months earlier.
You don't think they'll try to put some kind of like spin on him trying to fight his way in, and he can make a storyline out of it for a couple weeks, or
it just makes him look like shit?
Yeah, you can only do that for so long till it just gets lame.
So we're almost guaranteeing a John Cena Elimination Chamber win.
My whole theory up to this point has been John Cena's farewell tour. The wrestling aspect of John Cena's farewell tour ends at WrestleMania. And then from then on out, he's shaking hands and kissing babies and accepting awards.
Doing his dream matches, putting over younger guys.
Right, like he's just having fun at that point. Like he's just trying not to get injured, right? Don't want to get injured on your way out, so it's a lot of softball stuff. But that gives him the first half of the year to actually wrestle, actually take some risks, actually try and put some young guys over in a real way. And again, how do you not see this as just a means to improve John Cena's legacy if he doesn't actually earn his spot in WrestleMania? And the way that he does that is by winning at the Elimination Chamber. So John Cena's retirement tour is over if he doesn't win in Toronto.
Well, sounds like it's a guarantee win.
That's where my money's going.
Yep. With WrestleMania taking place, a lot of planning has happened. Obviously, we just watched the Royal Rumble. Drew McIntyre is set to have a little bit of a fight with Damian Priest. However, it's now being said that that might change. What happens? What if they change his opponent last minute? What is that saying from WWE if they feel like they're changing it?
Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre is not a WrestleMania-worthy match. Haven't they already done that?
They did at the Scotland Bash.
Clash of the Castle?
Yes, Castle.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, no shade on Damian Priest or anything, but he's not a main eventer. He's not a top guy.
Agree. He had the belt for the shortest amount of time, World Heavyweight.
And that belt, I've said all along, has not been a top belt.
Judgment Day helped him more than it helped any other member of the Judgment Day. Him being able to walk at the front, the big, overwhelming presence, holding the belt for a brief period of time, that made him look. I mean, it was the biggest faction outside of maybe the Bloodline for the business for 2+ years. He held that thing together. He looked really good then. Now he doesn't really have his own identity outside of the Bloodline. So
I think they have to go with LA Knight. I think that's the more. I think that's the more.
Throw him in.
Throw him in. I think there's a little bit of truth to this whole story. I think Drew McIntyre is a little upset legit upset that he's not in any type of title after the year he had. So to me, if WWE switches it now, they're kind of listening. He might have a little bit of pull. And, we saw that whole, I think it's, he mentioned something to The Rock on that one show a couple weeks ago, Netflix, where he whispered in The Rock's ear about something. And that came to me as another, that wasn't a work. To me, that was a shoot. So maybe he's trying to throw his weight around a little bit, and WWE changing it could mean that they're listening and want to keep him happy, because he does get upset. We know that. He gets upset and throws fits.
That happens a lot, where there's reports he's upset, and then we find out later it's a work. So
all the rules are off when it comes to WrestleMania, because it ain't about putting butts in seats.
All right, switching over to AEW for a minute. The ratings obviously haven't been good the last couple of months. What if somehow we get a spin on all this and we start to hit 1 million+ viewership by the end of the year? What is that doing for the promotion and the business of wrestling? What happens there?
Well, it certainly wouldn't hurt.
I think it puts a scare in WWE big time. I think that they were looking over their shoulders for the first couple of years, big time, really scared. And now, they're kind of like, they consider TNA a bigger competitor to themselves, which is why they're kind of in the process of swallowing up TNA, and they're kind of ignoring AEW a little bit. Does that improve? I don't see how that would happen. I mean, you would have to change so many things about AEW and the way that they do business. Like, I would be very interested in understanding what they changed.
Well, if things click, they click. And let's go back to the whole WCW Nitro versus Raw back in the day. Like, WWE or WWF back then just clicked all of a sudden. And all of a sudden things started to come together in the Attitude Era. I mean, you never know when that stuff happens. If the right storyline comes together, they could find themselves getting some momentum and moving.
I totally hear what you're saying. The issue that I have is NWO doesn't work without the Hulk Hogan heel turn. And there is nothing out there right now that would be the equivalent of a guy like Hulk Hogan doing a heel turn.
Right.
If the NWO is just a bunch of B and C level characters getting together, it would be...
Which it was later on.
It would be garbage.
Yeah.
But you had to have Macho Man, you had to have the heel turn, you had to have the outsiders involved in that gimmick in order for it to work. AEW just isn't in a position where they really have that right now. They just don't.
It's true. All right, last two. Sticking with what we were talking about earlier with wrestlers, I looked at contracts that are up in 2025.
Oh, here we
and
go.
A big one comes to mind in December 2025. What if Chris Jericho decides to leave AEW and finish out his career, because he's got to be talking about retirement, in WWE in a return in January 2026?
Okay.
I could see that happening.
He comes back at the Rumble and then does exactly what John Cena did.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He just
A
waves.
retirement
No,
run.
he is not in any. I mean, if I'm Triple H and Jericho calls me on the phone, I'm gonna say, lose 30 pounds and then call me.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I'm saying.
We'll put you on the Hall of Fame. That's it.
You are not gonna be on tour. You're gonna promise me that you're not gonna be on tour. I'll sign you to a 1-year agreement, and you have to agree to weight clauses and looks clauses. You have to be evaluated every 2 or 3 months. Like, I cannot have a guy that looks like that on my
He's
product.
definitely got to clean himself up.
I cannot have that. Like,
And-
unacceptable.
And just like you said, I see a John Cena storyline kind of coming to shape there. Like, let's be honest, Chris Jericho's got to be looking at retirement, right? And I think he's even mentioned a few times that he'd like to finish out his career where it started, at least one more run in WWE. No mention of a contract extension yet. I mean, I know it's about 10 months away, but it is December 2025. I mean, we could see it. It could time up perfectly with a Royal Rumble return, WrestleMania moment, then done. I mean, I definitely could see that. But what does it say to AEW if he leaves? Is that going to hurt them?
No.
At this point, no, because most of the crowd wants him gone.
Yeah, he doesn't get over well. He's not putting butts in seats. He looks like shit. Like, something needs to happen. This guy is stuck in, like, the marathon of the middle right now, where, like, things aren't bad enough to really improve, but they're not good enough to get over. Like, I want to see Le Champion back. Like,
That would be nice. A nice little run. The
bring
list.
that
The list,
The
yeah.
list.
See, now, I saw an interview with him recently. It's funny you bring that up, where he's concerned about going back to WWE because he knows that as soon as he gets back, that's what people are going to be calling for, and he doesn't really want to do that.
Yeah, he doesn't like redoing gimmicks.
Yeah,
like
he doesn't
that.
like going back and doing that. So he might not go back if he doesn't think he can reinvent himself for the umpteenth time.
Last one, I think the best one on the list here. Super Bowl just ended. We saw some people at the Super Bowl. Pictures
yes, we
of
did.
Vince McMahon showed up. Pictures of Shane McMahon, The Undertaker. And on the other side of the arena, Tony Khan was there.
Swerve.
What
and
if-
Mercedes too? I think.
With all those personalities together, that no meeting could possibly ever happen, right? What if Vince McMahon buys AEW and puts Shane McMahon in charge and reshapes the promotion? Can't tell me it's not possible.
It's anything is possible. in
What if
wrestling.
that happens? What goes on there?
If
Do
that
people
happens,
leave? Do they stay? Is it going to change everything? What if?
If that happens, I think AEW is done.
You really think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
they'll drag it along just out of spite
If
for
he
a
buys
few
it?
years. Yeah. But
I think the first event that would be put on with Shane McMahon at the helm for AEW would be a Tony Khan gelding procedure, where they go in and just slice his nuts off, and that's going to be their selling point. They're going to say, "Hey guys, guess who's not at the helm anymore?
and then,
Tony Khan."
And then Shane books himself to win the AEW World Title.
Shane books him to do some crazy jump from the top rafters through 50 tables, and
The business side of me looks at, Shane and Tony met before, right?
Yep.
And here they are all at the Royal Rumble or the Super Bowl, and you have all of them together, and you can't tell me there's not a small percentage
listen.
that they came across and met. I'm not saying about this, but they at least had a conversation.
after all that's happened with Vince McMahon and WWE, I think the one takeaway that I have over everything that's happened over, let's say, the last year or so since he got forced out, the likelihood that Shane McMahon appears on AEW television has like quintupled. It went from 0 and now it's like 5. Okay.
So you're telling me that AEW, that hasn't been doing well, ratings aren't good, but now has a TV deal, revenue coming in, the elements are there, Vince buys it for a decent price. He doesn't have to take over creative. He's buying it and slapping the McMahon name on it, taking Shane and putting him in charge. First off, are the wrestlers going to like that or not like it? Maybe they get a better deal with McMahon, but you're not telling me that's not going to drive some
lot of it.
serious business with WWE? Because let's be honest. There's a riff here. You have Triple H and you have Stephanie, who are very well clearly showing up on WWE television. You have Shane, who's been nowhere to be found, who now happens to be sitting with his father at the Super Bowl. So clearly they're getting along, despite everything that's happened, and him selling the company and the whole. Clearly they're getting along. No one's ever known that the last year or two. But now that they're at Super Bowl together, they're clearly getting along. You mean to tell me those two couldn't hatch up a plan to buy AEW and put it back to relevance again with the McMahon name?
So
I think it's very interesting.
everything that I've read indicates that Vince is interested in doing some type of he's actually staffed and is starting an entertainment company, but it's not oriented around wrestling. So most of his money is going into production for something.
I don't doubt that until Tony Khan gives him an offer he can't refuse.
I don't think.
What
Tony
makes you think
Khan-
Tony would sell?
That would
Well,
be
the
selling.
Jackson Jaguars are a mess. They need to start focusing on getting that back up and going. Maybe Father Khan decides that, you know what, the money ain't coming down anymore.
well, that
we
might
need to start focusing on
They
where our
have
money
plenty
is.
of other businesses. They still have a soccer club in the UK.
But
that's
now with the
doing
TV
perfectly
deal, they
fine.
can legitimately sell it and maybe get a small return. Look, Tony Khan has he even been on the show?
I think Tony would
No,
rather.
and that's a good thing.
I know, but like
This is Tony's baby. He'd rather see it die
Yeah.
than,
anything's possible.
than go to the Dark Lord.
That's why they call this segment "What If."
He literally built his entire business off of "We Are Not WWE." So to sell to the great Dark Lord of WWE, that would be a betrayal, an unforgivable betrayal.
Yeah, like
but
I said,
but
that'll be the end of
having
AEW.
Shane come in and have creative input, appear on television, would be a huge. That's how you see $1 million on Collision or Dynamite. That's how you see. $1 million.
At the very least, he
You
should
say,
put him in charge.
Hey, Shane McMahon's gonna be on TV, gonna be on AEW TV. Yeah, you'll get 10 million people.
Okay,
Look
now
at
you're
that.
pushing it.
Yeah. Talk about Monday Night Wars numbers.
All right, Dan, that segment was good, but this one is better. It's time for...
This week in wrestling history.
All right, found a couple of good ones this week. A little slow, but I was able to manage to pull out a few fun facts. Let's go all the way back in the time machine to February 15th, 1986.
Maybe the sound of that.
That's a little better.
This is like the Magic School Bus.
Take us there, Miss Frizz.
All right, 1986 at NWA Battle of the Belts 2, the company debuted the iconic Big Gold Belt as their new world
Oh,
championship.
yeah.
My favorite
The
belt.
BGB.
February 13th, 1997. Shawn Michaels forfeits the WWF Championship and cuts the infamous Lost My Smile promo. Unfortunately, that did not happen in Albany. Most of the good stuff happens in Albany.
Where did that happen?
Lowell, Massachusetts.
I was gonna say Memphis, Tennessee.
That does sound kind of like a southern thing. Yeah.
February 14th, 1999. St. Valentine's Day Massacre and the debut of Paul White in the WWF. Throwing Stone Cold Steve Austin through the big blue cage.
God, that was before 2000. I thought that
That was 99, yeah.
he was one of those ones that hung out till almost not a stinger or anything like
And
that.
I love
Oh.
that's one of my
thought
favorite
that-
Vince McMahon segments. The night after that on Raw, where The Rock comes down with the belt, he becomes champion, and Paul White comes out, and they get into a little show of words. And Vince is like, because The Rock makes fun of Big Show or the Paul White, and he's like, "No, I didn't mean that." Great segment.
And finally, February 16th, 2010, the final episode of WWECW,
Good.
where Christian is defeated for the ECW championship by Ezekiel Jackson, who history shows is the last ECW champion.
Good.
That is random.
Bury that place.
I would like to see how long he held it. 1 day? Did they give him 1 day credit? 'Cause
Oh, sorry, pal. We gotta take this back now. We're gonna get in the back.
It's got to go in the museum.
All right, 3 birthdays for you. See if you guys can get these. Some old legends. You all should know who they are.
Don't give him a hint.
I mean, some young,
Now I know they're
Dan's gonna have to guess them all.
some young legends. Well, yeah, young. February 10th, Ming, or Haku for you WWF guys.
God, I just watched Royal Rumble the other night with him in it.
When he came back in the 2000s.
That one match he came back. I
Yeah.
think he went after Kane. I think it was 2001.
68.
I'm gonna go 74.
Ooh, close. 76.
Oh wow.
Damn it.
February 11th, Ken Shamrock.
Oh.
64.
Ken Shamrock is older than that. 70.
71.
Wow, way off on
He
that
was
one.
old when he was in WWF.
That's true.
February 16th, Gangrel.
Oh my gosh.
40. You go first.
I think he has every other one.
55. I think he's older than that, though.
64.
Yeah.
66.
Yeah.
Damn.
Oof. Got to work on your birthday skills.
I don't know.
Well, that's it. That's This Week in Wrestling History. Comment down below. Let us know what your favorite fact is. And if you have a wrestling birthday, happy birthday to you. And happy birthday to our own varsity athlete. Finally out of your teens. Good job.
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Congrats.
Thanks. Thanks.
Okay, guys, just for a little bit of our local viewership, we had John Sporer in the set
Yes.
a couple hours ago doing a bunch of story content with Jeremy, and he's here to promote his upcoming show, Aviation Mall Mayhem 2 in the Aviation Mall, where we have a studio up north. Interesting to kind of see a little bit of some of the local wrestler.
Scenes. Yep.
I know you weren't able to go, but Jeremy, Lily, and I were able to go see the first show up at the mall up north for the people local in Queensbury, New York. It was actually a decent show. It's one of the first shows I've seen live local-wise. I mean, obviously, I've been to a couple Raws and SmackDowns and stuff, but kind of like the first local, like right in your face, like we're right there watching
Just
it.
sweating on you.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. To see that on a local scale. Obviously, it was local. I mean, you were there.
Listen, I dragged Matt out to World of Hurt in Rutland a couple of years ago. I really like indie wrestling. I really love more than the big stuff. I mean, it's cool. It's really cool getting to go to a professional baseball game or a professional football game, but you're really a fan of the sport when you go to the high school football game or the high school baseball tournament or whatever. That's really what this is. It's the people that are doing it for passion, not for money. They're really putting their hearts into it. There's a legitimacy behind it. Like, it's really coming from here, not from their wallet or their pocketbooks. And I think I really enjoy it. And if you go to enough of the shows, the tickets aren't expensive, and you really get to see the stars of tomorrow. You really
Absolutely.
I'm sure you go to enough local shows, and you are going to see people, WWE, AEW, traveling, performing with them in the next, let's say, 5 years. So it's really cool. It's a really cool opportunity. Everyone should come out and check it out if you can.
Definitely. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so I think it's pretty neat. It's the Aviation Mall Mayhem 2. Standing 8 Entertainment is hosting it. If you want to look them up online. Again, for all the local people here. But hey, even if you're out of state, fly in. It's a good show.
Take a trip. Take a drive. I mean, you drive a couple hours, get a hell of a show.
You can meet us in person.
And
We'll be there watching.
Where do you get the tickets?
So you can get the tickets at the Aviation Mall and get the tickets at any of our locations, Insane Games, at the Pier Arcade, which took me about 6 times to get correct in our promo earlier today. But yeah, you can get tickets there, $20 at any of those locations. It's a good show. Starts at 2 o'clock. Food Court, Aviation Mall, Queensbury, New York.
It's well worth it. It's well worth it.
Yeah.
What are you missing? You better be there.
Support indie wrestling.
All right, time for the main event of tonight's show. We are looking at the top talent, specifically talking about AEW. I want to plug really quickly that this topic came up because WWE is premiering a new LFG show, which is basically veterans trying to bring up, it's legacy and
Legends something.
and future
Greats.
Future greats. That's right.
Future
Legends
greats.
and future greats. I was waiting for you to get it. So that kind of made me think about, like, okay, what does that look like on the AEW side? They don't seem to be developing a lot of their new talent anymore, an awful lot. So if we were to look at, let's say, who is the top talent in AEW right now, who would it be? I think the most interesting person to answer this one is going to be Dan, because you watch the least amount of AEW product. So who would you say are, let's say, the top 5 talents in AEW right now?
Are we doing them all at one time?
Sure. Let's just your 5,
All right.
5, and
well,
my 5.
obviously, MJF got to be in there. He's probably the future of the company. Should be world champion. I mean, he you could say AEW was great when he was a champ, and then kind of started to fall apart when
Has he held the belt longer than anybody else?
Yes,
Does
he's
he have
the record.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's what I thought.
Mercedes Malone. I mean, come on. I mean, she's got to be on. Monet. I'm sorry. She's got to be on there. I mean, she's leading the female group. I mean, they paid a lot of money to have her leave WWE and have her go over there. So you got to have her on there. Those are the 2 like staples, in my opinion. I'm gonna go with Cope on there. You know, you got to have someone who's a veteran. You got to have someone who can bring a draw. I think he has that. They got to make him more. I don't know why they haven't made him a world champion yet. Give him a so-called faction. Give him a group. Give him something that, like, he needs to be more heavy in the storylines. I think the face, put the belt on him for a little bit and really kind of put all the resources behind him. I think he has that legend status. And he's not that old yet. I mean, he's legend, but not like, you know, I think he can still obviously wrestle and stuff. So he's on there. Sammy Guevara. I've said this before. Make him a top heel of the business. Make him like a Logan Paul type attitude where he just is.
He had that Spanish God.
I know, but like he's an original AEW guy from first day. Okay, make him. People don't like him. Right? He's always getting booed. Make him your crazy heel that's just straight out getting booed when he comes out. I mean, the guy's been with the company for a very long time. Give him that credit. What is he now? Tag champion right now
Ring
or
of
something?
Honor.
Yeah. I mean, like they're not doing anything with him. They fooled around with heel and face, but just make him a top heel and get it over with. And my last but not least, we need a so-called Vince McMahon of AEW running the show. Okay, Tony Khan needs to be back out on the ring as the top. When you are the authority figure, making the storylines, causing the chaos, that's an important element.
Hey guys, I'd really like you to wrestle tonight.
But but I'm not saying the way he was doing it was correct.
Okay.
What I'm saying is he needs to be better. He needs to get some lessons, do whatever you got to do.
He needs acting lessons.
He needs to get out there and start being the Vince McMahon Attitude Era Vince. That get involved in a faction, be a heel guy, cause all the faces to have problems. Like he needs to be out there causing chaos and running the show. They need that type of. There's no one. Like, again, I've always said there needs to be an authority figure, and is there anyone at AEW doing that? There's no one calling the shots. Like no one knows what's going on.
They were doing it a little bit with Tony and with the other EVPs.
Yeah, but like now they're gone. I mean,
Yeah.
but like it's his own business. Be the face of it and get out there and do some storylines. Those are my top 5.
Okay. You kind of went the fantasy booking route a little bit there. I respect that. My list is a little different from yours. I'd say probably their top babyface right now is Will Ospreay.
Okay.
He's the definite crowd favorite, especially since Orange Cassidy's kind of stepped away the last few weeks. He's definitely top there. For some reason, I don't like it, but people still really like Moxley. The whole Death Riders gimmick and storyline, that's really going nowhere, and everyone agrees it's going nowhere, but him alone, everyone still loves him. They still pop when he comes out. I agree with MJF. He's still a top guy, even though he has cooled off a bit since losing the belt, but he's still up there. Probably on the women's side, Toni Storm. She is still re-debuting that timeless gimmick. And it's
getting over.
It is.
I don't understand it.
Me neither.
I don't get it, but it's getting
over huge. And then the last one,
if you had to pick another woman,
it's Monet.
Yeah.
Well, actually, Harley Cameron is getting over huge, dude.
Do you think if
she's definitely the future?
Do you think if she had spent the last, let's say, 6 months consistently on television, it would be Britt Baker?
Probably.
If
she turned heel again.
When she got color with Jericho, she was never more over.
With Jericho.
Right,
the black eye.
Yeah, the black eye I was thinking of.
Yeah,
and
she got color with Thunder Rosa, yeah.
But she was never more over
than that, yeah.
She was at her peak at that point, and I was like, she is the face of the company at this moment.
But yeah, as far as up and coming, Harley Cameron is getting over huge, and she is freaking hilarious, super talented. I freaking love watching her stuff now.
I guess
I agree. I mean, that's like, you know more of the talents like in depth than I do.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of going more off of like what I feel.
What
like.
you want to see.
Yeah, a little bit.
I guess I'll split the baby then and go halfway. So MJF is clearly the face of the company. He belongs on all of our lists. If you don't put him on there, you're an idiot. Timeless Toni Storm is probably the only woman that I think, unfortunately, is in a situation where she can sort of lead the troops, as it were.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how she is in the locker room, but yeah, you got to have Will Ospreay. Like he's a leader. He makes sacrifices for the company. He does what's right for the business as opposed to what's just right for him.
He was international champion and lost to the world champion.
He's willing to lose. He's willing to put other guys over. I mean, he is the kind of person that you can literally build an organization around.
Absolutely.
It's really great to have him there. He needs to stay. Two guys that I think should be and aren't. Orange Cassidy. He gets over so well. He's got a great gimmick. It just works. He has the it. And nobody can really explain why. I was kind of bouncing between him and Darby Allin, but Darby gets injured a lot, and he spends so much time away with this Everest thing he can't be. And last, I think Christian. He is the only guy that can get the kind of heat that you were talking about.
Yep.
The kind of heat, the kind of Mysterio, Dirty Dom type heat. He's the only guy in the organization.
Can we agree they got to get a guy like that?
That can
absolutely.
They already do.
I mean, they really, really need to get someone that can do that.
But they need to work him. They need to work him. I would be interested to see. You know, I thought that Jack Perry had it for a hot minute there when he came back. You know, they could continue to work him hard on that angle, and they could, you know, that whole scapegoat angle that went over really well too. And he
hasn't been around since he lost the TNT title.
Yeah, so I don't know what's going on there, but I mean, bringing him back could get you that kind of heat that you need to. But you got to have that heel face dynamic, and with MJF kind of doing this tweener thing right now, just kind of a rude, nice guy, you need someone to fill that gap. It's got to be Christian. Well, interesting that there seems to be quite a bit of commonality between our lists. A lot of MJFs. You put Tony Khan on there. I'm going to give you one more chance to defend your choice here. You think Tony Khan needs to be the face of the company?
No, I'm saying most valuable. When you look at who
top talent. You said top talent.
Yeah, as a business owner, you need to be out there.
But you think he is the top
Let me
talent.
ask you a question. Let's rewind. Okay, what if there wasn't any Stephanie McMahon or Shane McMahon or Vince McMahon in any storylines in the history of WWE? Would they be as successful as they are right now?
All right, I'm going to make a call right now, and you can tell me, okay? I don't know, but I think that whole Vince McMahon angle thing only happened because of the Montreal screw job. Without the screw job,
but it
that
worked.
doesn't exist.
Doesn't matter. But the reality is, it worked. And when you are the
Right, but
owner of
you're-
a company,
you're
you need to be
pretending-
out there.
Did it work because it was McMahon, or did it work because it was Stone Cold?
Thank you.
If Tony's going to do that, he needs to have a
I'm
foil.
a believer in you can reshape and redo storylines, but with different people and different elements. There's no reason why Tony Khan can't go out there and make MJF the Stone Cold
All right,
or the
let me
Vince
ask you.
McMahon and
Okay.
There's
All
no
right.
reason why they can't do that.
Fantasy book this for me then. Give me, in a minute or less, how Tony Khan makes himself into Vince McMahon in the next 3 months. What can he do in the next 3 months to become the nasty, evil, rotten, despicable foil
Tony Khan, Kiss My Ass Club.
that we want to help? What are we going to do?
The problem is, I don't know if a champion aligns with this, but he needs to go out and screw someone over for the championship. It's got to be the world
Perhaps
heavyweight.
in Montreal, maybe.
He's got to walk. He got to do his return and legitimately screw a big fan favorite over, which they boo the shit out. Then he needs to show up the next day.
Who gets over like Bret Hart got over?
Maybe MJF.
MJF, Ospreay, one of those guys.
Ospreay.
Kenny.
Yeah,
He
he's
would
got
have
to
to stab
screw
Ospreay in
somebody
the back.
over, and then when the next night when he makes his return, he's got to have a posse with him, and they start beating the shit out of all the fan favorites, so they get booed to hell from everybody, and that's how you start it.
I think you'd have to bury Ospreay, get him injured.
He's got to come in and screw somebody, and then the whole story is he's got to try to get his way back up, but the owner of the company keeps pushing him down.
I guess the
and
only
it's
way
it's the way.
he would have to do it at All In.
And then
They'd have to build a
then what
storyline,
happens is
and then you'd have to
you
do
have
it
a
all in.
face, a fan favorite that's been gone for a while, make his return to help him after a couple months of battling. You know how The Rock was always down, and then the Stone Cold or the Undertaker returned. And return helped. He helped. You can redo the same storylines over again.
I have to say,
just with new guys.
After seeing what they, normally I would be very skeptical, but after seeing what Jack Perry was able to do, and I don't know. I mean, maybe Tony Khan could actually be a legitimate, believable heel, but he'd have to take some lessons from Jack
Oh,
Perry.
I'm not saying I'm just saying that's if you own the business and if I owned, I'd be out there every day being the top heel I could be. And Vince, you can say what you want. Back in the day, Vince was the top heel of the business. He was. You can say Triple H. That's all great. But, like, Vince, when he was at his prime, was the top heel.
Well, let me call out to you guys. Do you think Tony Khan could possibly be a big heel in AEW, and how would that help the business?
Yeah.
Let us know down below. What do we got going on this week? I have no idea. Oh, don't forget to check out LFG. Because I'm certainly going to be checking out LFG this week. That premieres on the 16th. That's Sunday on 8. What?
I'm joking.
On A&E. That's going to be coming out, so be sure to check that out. And we're probably going to have an update on that. I guess I'm probably going to be talking about it on next week's episode. So, once more.
What?
What was that?
I'm sorry. I was just thinking about
He
on the Pure Arcade.
graduated from his teen voice. Hey, guys, what's going on?
All right. Well, that is episode 69. Dan celebrated by 69ing Tony Khan during the end of this episode. So we hope you guys were able to keep your lunch down. Happy Valentine's Day to everybody out there, especially to you, Dan. Might want to get yourself tested after this. Let us know down below what you think. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Tell your friends. Check out our videos, our extra short videos that are coming out, and our shorts this week. A lot more content related to the local show. Be sure to check that out. And keep watching, and we can keep wrestling with the business.